Welcome to Looking at Legal Stuff. Today we have two hearings, including a new update, with a woman who is trying to have a violation hearing for her personal protection order against her ex, but the judge isn't sure it's even a valid order. He takes testimony to try and determine what's going on, but she can't seem to give a straight answer, nor is she very happy about having to answer questions. Should there even be a violation hearing? Let's see what the judge thinks.
We are here in the case of Angela Taylor versus Paul Colby II, case number 23-10503 PP. This hearing is being recorded on Zoom and live streamed on YouTube.
And this matter is before the court this afternoon. This is the time and place scheduled for a hearing on whether or not Mr. Colby violated a personal protective order entered by this court. It appears back on in Her Honor about November of last year. Now, I have met with the counsel before the protective order before the hearing today to kind of get a sense of what's happening, as I often do. And a couple of things of concern have come up. The first is an order of Judge Kometz, referee Kometz, that was signed and countersigned by me. Looks like, or at least filed in my court file here, November 13th, 2023. It is captioned an order dismissing the motion to terminate the personal protective order and leaving the personal protection order in place, as if referee Kometz did not terminate the order at the time. However, I did read the body of the order, which states that it is ordered that the respondent's motion to terminate the ex parte personal protective order is denied, and the personal protective order shall stay in place for reasons stated on the record, period. And then next line underlined, this personal protection order may not be extended pursuant to MCR 3.707 as of January 8th, 2023. This case is dismissed nunc pro tunc, which is a fancy Latin for term meaning I'm dismissing it because I'm the judge. I don't know what Judge Kometz meant by that. It does say two conflicting things. In one hand, it could be read to say that this is supposed to stay in place and that the hearing could be conducted on these alleged violations. And in the second case, it could be read to say that he did away with it and doesn't want, he thought that the case in its entirety, including the protective order itself, ought to be dismissed as of January 2023. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear that either counsel were present at the hearing in front of Judge Kometz. And I'm going to have to reach out to Judge Kometz with a copy of the order and get his opinion on what he meant by that. So in any case, we're not going to be able to proceed today with the hearing on the violation until I figure out what Judge Kometz intended to do, and I approved by signing his order, as I almost inevitably do, because Judge Kometz demonstrates very sound judgment and practical ways of resolving these orders. Secondarily, counsel for the respondent, Mr. Colby, is Ms. Lopez. She raised the issue that there may be other proceedings that are ongoing in Mecosta County, where at least it appears that Ms. Taylor lives, and that may govern at least, along the lines of a custody order governing the child that were not initially disclosed when this order was filed for. If that's the case, I may make a finding today that this was void from the inception and just dismiss it in case that's not what Judge Kometz intended to do.
Excuse me, Your Honor. There is not a custody battle going on in Montcalm County.
All right. Well, I'm going to take some testimony from you, but first, as an initial matter, let me ask counsel to place your appearances on the record.
Lauren McNabb on behalf of Angela Taylor.
Thank you.
And Tamara Lopez on behalf of Mr. Colby.
Very good. And Ms. Taylor, since this was yours right off the outset, let me get your testimony on what's going on up in Montcalm. If you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. What are you aware of that's filed currently in the Montcalm courts?
There isn't anything in Montcalm courts.
Now, my impression was that at some point both you and perhaps Mr. Colby filed for protective orders up there. What's going on with those? That's you, Miss Taylor.
I filed one in the end of October and it got denied.
Okay, and then you filed this one also the end of October? And I approved it?
Yes, because he's been damaging my property.
Well, I just look at what I read here. I don't find to make any factual findings, and that's why the other
And then
person
he's
has
been harassed. He's been coming to my work,
All right, well,
harassing me.
let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Let me get a little more clear picture about what's happening. So at the time you filed this, what was the status of your filing for a protective order in Montcalm County? Did you have them both at the same time that you asked for them? Did you ask for Montcalm and get denied and then file here? How did that work?
Yes, I filed in Montcalm and I got denied. So then I waited and then I went to Kent County
How long did you wait?
like 3 weeks later.
Okay. All right. And you figured, well, I got denied in Montcalm, I might as well try in Kent.
I was already in Kent County when I filed because I haven't been able to stay at my house because he damaged my property.
And your house is this, well, I mean, I know you've got some confidential information here I don't want, but is your house in Montcalm or in Kent?
Montcalm.
Okay, but you were staying in Kent and thus you thought, well, I'll file the motion in the protective
Yes.
order in Kent. And at the time, at least you listed a address for Mr. Colby on Egner Street, Cedar Springs, Michigan, 49319, making it appear that he would have a Kent. Is that a right address for him?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Tell me about what the status of any custody orders involving the child that I wasn't even aware of when this was filed might be.
There wasn't any custody battle going on.
Is there a custody order in any court?
No.
So there's no order providing child support custody or anything like that for your son?
I pay child support.
Then you're probably doing that pursuant to an order. But you don't think there's any court order that governs it in parenting time, things of that nature?
No, I don't get Tristan. I don't even get to see Tristan.
So what's the kid got to do with this whole thing?
Nothing.
Well, now and then your daughter is also engaged. Is she an adult?
Yeah, she's 20.
Okay, so there's obviously nothing involving her. If there is an order involving Tristan, where does that come out of?
Montcalm.
Okay. You're just not aware of what the case is, or for that matter, if there is, I mean, was it pursuant to a divorce? Any idea?
We've never been married. Me and
Got
Paul
it.
Colby have never been married. And that's what he's been telling everybody, even the cops.
That you're married.
Yeah. And then
Hmm.
we've been together for 18 years and he's lived with me. No, he's never lived with me. All he keeps doing is lying to these courts. Because Judge Krieger even caught him out in a lie too.
Well, I don't know what Judge Krieger said. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of what mine is, and I'm certainly not going to conflict with anything that Judge Krieger found up there in Montcalm. After all, she is the county circuit judge for that county. And one thing us judges hate is to get orders that we don't know about the other court's order and we conflict with each other. So I'm trying to avoid that at all costs here, including with Judge Kometz. What's your perception of what Judge
Because I
Kometz
got
wanted to
lots
do?
of proof I could show you.
What did Judge
I
Kometz
can bring
intend?
it down. Like-
Well, today's not the day for it. I still got to figure out what happened at the last hearing. What happened in front of Judge Kometz from your perspective?
He said he violated them.
Well, he wouldn't have found a
Damaging my
violation.
home.
He was ruling on an objection to it. So you think he kept the protective order in place? He didn't dismiss it, but he just said you couldn't extend it any longer after it expires.
Yes.
Okay, which would still make it potential to have a violation hearing as of today. I just need to double check with Judge Kometz and see if that's what he intended to do. Okay. Ms. McNabb, do you have any questions for your Ms. Taylor
No, Your Honor, not at this moment.
and Ms. Lopez?
Yes, Your Honor. Briefly, I'm holding up what's a order between you and Paul that was ordered of the court of Montcalm County in December of last year regarding your son, giving him sole custody. You don't recall that?
Full custody. We just went to court on this year.
Back yesterday.
You were just there yesterday, correct?
Yes. But we already went in front of a lady before we went in front of the judge.
But this case has been pending since 2008. There's just been several hearings on and off throughout the years,
Yes.
correct?
I don't even know what you're talking about from 2008. Because I had custody of Tristan.
The
He
case
just
numbers.
continues to lie.
All right,
I'm asking-
please let her ask the questions and then give your answer. Go ahead, Ms. Lopez.
You must have filed for child support in 2008 or something, because the case number is 2008. Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, now I understand what you're saying. Yes, I filed child support in 2008.
Okay, and yesterday you had a hearing regarding this matter, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. And you did not disclose that on your petition for protection order when it asked you, are there any other pending actions regarding the parties?
there wasn't anything.
Wasn't there a PPO that Paul took out on you?
Because Cora had Tristan when all this stuff went down in
Ma'am?
June.
Did Paul take a PPO out on you?
No,
You didn't have a hearing on November 1 with Judge Krieger regarding the PPO that she denied.
my PPO was already in place. I had one on my daughter that I went in
No.
front of the judge.
On Wednesday, November 1, you appeared before the judge regarding a personal protection order. You don't recall that? And you told the
Against
judge,
Paul, but Paul
Yeah.
never had one on me.
it says Paul Colby petitioner versus Angie Taylor petitioner.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there were at least two pending cases.
But my paperwork was put in way before this.
So I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Yeah, no, okay, all right. Any follow-ups, Ms. McNabb?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, well, what it's succeeded in doing is thoroughly confusing me as to where this case should or could currently stand. I will say this, if there were pending actions, be they custody actions, support actions, or pending personal protection orders, and they weren't disclosed when this was filed as of October 23rd, 2003, and I find that I will dismiss this void ab initio, which is another fancy Latin term meaning as the minute you filed it, because it contained a lie. So I'm going to go back and research the relevant court files. I'd invite either party to submit portions of the relevant court file to the court. I will make those determinations and determine whether or not this order should be allowed to stand in the first place. At the same time, I will still contact Judge Kometz and see what his intention was, whether it was to leave it in place or not. Once I've sorted all that out, whether there is an order or not, and whether it remains in place and enforceable, then perhaps we'll set up another hearing on the alleged violations of the protective order. In the meantime, if Judge Kometz indeed, intended to leave this in place until its stated expiration date, which is April 24th of 2024. The smart thing on your part, Mr. Colby, would be to obey that protective order so as to stay out of any potential legal jeopardy between now and then. Given the fact that, I still may hold a hearing on 3 prior violations, we don't want to add any more sticks to the proverbial fire, as it were. So in that case, why don't we treat it like it's in place until I issue an order clarifying the situation. I will do that after reviewing submissions of the parties. Any submissions of the parties are to be done within 1 week of today, which by my math would make, what is it 1 week from today, Lisa?
1 week from today would be February 2nd.
Any submissions by the parties to be submitted to the court no later than close of business February 2nd, 2024. I'll review transcripts, filings, whatever you've got to verify the dates in this matter, and I'll make my ruling after that. If I need another hearing, I will notice it up, and then I'll let you know if there are to be additional hearings to follow. In the meantime, I'll email Judge Kometz and ask him to clarify what he meant in his order. Anything else we need to place on the record at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well,
Where
let me
do
go,
I
Ms.
bring the
McNabb first.
paperwork to?
Your Honor, I just would like to place a general objection to dismissing the PPO on the record.
Very well. And Ms. Lopez?
No, I'm in agreement with the objection, obviously, and I will provide the paperwork to the court.
Very good.
I'm gonna do the dismissal.
And Ms. Taylor, you had a question.
Where do I bring my paperwork to?
You can submit it to my chambers. You can either email it if you have electronic copies to Lisa, and she'll gladly give you the email address, or you can mail it to me at 180, or you can deliver it to the courthouse, to the clerk's office, 180 Ottawa Northwest. Attention, Judge Rossi.
Okay,
And
can she just email that to the
anything
address?
that you submit, make sure you submit a copy of it to both Ms. McNabb and Ms. Lopez, so that we're all on the same proverbial sheet of music as I'm deciding this. So make sure you get copies out to the other parties, be it electronic or paper. Just make sure everyone else knows what is being submitted to the court, so we're not having another Latin term, ex parte conversations. That means a conversation with the judge without the other parties present. Not allowed to do that either. So, all right. So do submit the paperwork to me within the next week, however you're able to do it. And Lisa, if you would stay on and give Ms. Taylor your email, that'd be great.
We are here in the matter of Angela Taylor versus Paul Colby, case number 23-10503 PP. This hearing is being recorded on Zoom and live streamed on YouTube.
And this matter comes before the court on an allegation for trial on an allegation that Mr. Colby violated the protective order. At this time, I'd invite counsel to place your appearances on the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Laura McNabb, APA Kent County, for petitioner Ms. Taylor.
Thank
Good
you.
morning, Your Honor. Roman Kosorek on behalf of the respondent, Mr. Colby.
Very well. And since we're going to run the hearing on the violation, Ms. McNabb, you may call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to call Ms. Taylor.
Very well. Ms. Taylor, if you would please unmute and then raise your right hand. Raise your right hand, please. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Very good. You may proceed, Ms. McNabb.
And I do have something to quick say. I am dyslexic and have learning disabilities, but I do want to add some things to this if I could.
I'll let Ms. McNabb lead you through.
All right.
All right. All right. You are Angela Taylor,
Yes.
and you are the petitioner in this matter?
Yes.
Okay. And Your Honor, I would just ask that you take judicial notice of the dates the PPO was in effect. I believe it is still valid until April of this year.
That sounds correct to me.
Okay.
And I will take judicial notice.
All right. Thank you. So, Ms. Taylor, it looks like these violations you're alleging happened back in October?
Yes.
Okay. Talk me through them.
I filed so many of them. I don't.
Okay.
Like, he just doesn't. He just continues to keep
All right. Well,
harassing me.
let's focus in then. You made some allegations that he's been harassing you at work or sending a friend to harass you at work. How is that? Describe that.
He has people drive through the parking lot, revving their engine, and then he has some people come in, like his family members, like that never come there inside. And then then he does too. He sits across in Vanderhyde parking lot towards the restaurant, stalking me, knowing what I drive to go into work. I drive a black Jeep Cherokee.
Okay.
And he knows when I'm coming and going. He was just here the other day on February 12th on snowmobile stalking me, ran through my yard, shut the headlight off. My tenant tried to knock him off the snowmobile. He just continues. He's been harassing my boss. My boss went to the Kent County Sheriff's Department the other day. She's filing a PPO. He's been putting her all on Facebook, just tearing up the business.
All right. And so specifically, you say that he has people revving their engines outside your workplace. How do you know that he's having those people do that?
Because they're his friends, and then they put it on social media.
Okay. Do you have
And
anything?
then the friend just called me the other night and left me a voicemail.
Okay.
He's like, yep, Paul's always getting away with it because his dad's an ex-sheriff's department for Kent County.
Okay. So do you have any, besides these are the fact that these are his friends, is there any other indication that Mr. Colby's directing them to do this?
They're all on his Facebook talking about it.
Okay. And then you said somebody was in your yard.
Yeah, he went through my yard on snowmobiles, and I know it was him. And my son was at the end of my driveway in the yard. And I know it was him because I have customers that come into my work, and they told me that his dad tried to say no, it wasn't him.
Yeah, no, there is an objection to hearsay, and I can't hear what anyone else said at the hearing. We have to follow the rules of evidence, so just can only be what you observed or heard, Ms. Taylor. So I'll sustain the objection. You may continue, Ms. McNabb.
Thank you, Your Honor. So Ms. Taylor, when you say Mr. Colby's across the street from your workplace, what does he do while he's there? Is he just sitting there? Is there?
Yeah, he just sits in his car and watches the restaurant. Knows
Okay,
when I leave, knows when I come to work,
how
if it's me.
I guess how do you know he's watching the restaurant? Is he there for a significant amount of time? Is he?
Because his car's over there, and I know what his car looks like.
Okay, is it possible that he could just be at that business?
No, because that's a used car dealership, and the main one's across the street. And his car's pointing at the restaurant.
Okay, and when he's in the vehicle, and you see him in the vehicle? You don't just see his car?
Yes, I see him.
All right.
And I also have witnesses that seen him too.
Okay. So you say that Mr. Colby's been harassing you at work, either through posts or things. Has that affected your employment?
Yes. He's trying to get me fired.
How has that affected your employment? Like, has your boss taken any steps?
She's had talk with me about it.
Okay, what did she say in that talk? Sorry, you're right. Apologies. All right. Have the posts made it difficult for you to go to work?
Yes.
Okay. In what way, I guess, besides your boss?
Mentally, emotionally, I feel threatened. Like I don't even feel safe. At nighttime, I have somebody walk me out to get in my car because I don't feel safe.
Okay.
he just continues. If something don't get done, I'm going to end up killed or something.
And then you also have a series of Facebook posts that you attached. Were any of those posts directed at you? Were you tagged in any of them? Were they?
Objection, Your Honor, foundation.
Response
Apologies.
on the foundation objection, Ms. McNabb?
I would agree. Apologies. I guess, has Mr. Colby ever directly contacted you or messaged you in any way?
No.
No? Okay. All right. No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Kasort.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this point, let me see if the prosecution rests.
I would like to reserve the ability to do redirect.
Yeah, no, redirect is appropriate. You may proceed, Mr. Kasort.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I would move for a directed verdict, Your Honor, on this case. As Ms. Taylor had just at the last time testified here in her last words, there was no direct contact between my client and her as she testified. There are some allegations of work harassment, Your Honor. However, there's, number one, no corroboration and no testimony to this effect that my client was there knowingly and how many times he was there allegedly. Ms. Taylor had many allegations in her complaint, and I don't think that the testimony of Ms. Taylor here at this point would lead the court to find that my client had violated the PPO since he had no direct contact with her. So I would move for a judgment of acquittal and a directed verdict, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Ms. McNabb, any response to the motion?
Yes, Your Honor. While I understand Mr. Kasorik's point, I do believe that Ms. Taylor's testimony is robust enough to substantiate and beyond a reasonable doubt that he's been interfering with her at her place of employment or engaging in conduct that impairs her employment. Between her messages about him watching the property and then his actions creating tension between her and her boss, I would ask that you find him guilty.
All right. Well, I'm going to deny the motion for directed verdict. This time I have heard testimony. The order, the protective order that is, which dates back to 2023, clearly prohibits Mr. Taylor from following, I'm sorry, let me get this right, Mr. Colby, from following Ms. Taylor, appearing within her sight, appearing at her workplace or residence, and approaching or confronting her in a public place or on private property. That is, I have heard testimony today that he loiters for no apparent reason within sight of the workplace where he is visible inside his vehicle to her, and less substantiated testimony about the revving. That's really not what I'm looking at, but really just simply his presence and observing her at work when I know I've made it abundantly clear to Mr. Colby that he is to stay out of her sight, and so I'll deny the directed verdict. You may continue with any questions for Ms. Taylor, Mr. Kasort.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Taylor, are you home alone or are you there with somebody?
Yes, I have my tenant living here.
Is that your tenant or your live-in boyfriend?
I don't have a boyfriend.
All right. Let me ask you this. Your petition affidavit is written back, I believe, in September of last year, and it's written in a third-party language. Did you write that yourself, or did you have somebody write that for you?
I'm dyslexic. and have learning disabilities. So I had help with that.
All right. So that's not your language, is it?
Yes.
Did you dictate that language?
Yes.
Okay. You saw, your testimony is that you saw Mr. Taylor's vehicle across from your employment, right?
Yes. And I have
How
witnessed
many, no, just what you saw, ma'am. How many people in a vehicle?
one
How far is that parking lot from your employment?
across the street, so not very far.
How many feet would you estimate?
20 yards.
20 yards?
Yes.
About 80 feet?
Yes.
Do you wear glasses?
Yes.
Were you wearing glasses at that time?
What did you say?
Were you wearing them at that time?
I wear my contacts.
Okay. Are you currently in a court proceeding in a different county affecting your child that you have with Mr. Colby?
What do you, I guess I don't understand what you're
Is
asking.
there a custody order between you and Mr. Colby currently?
He has custody of Tristan,
All right.
child support.
And you pay child support?
Yes.
All right. Likewise, there's a current civil action in another county affecting the house in which you live, correct?
Yeah, it's still my home.
But it may be your home, but currently it's in litigation over who it belongs to. Is it either you or Mr. Colby? Is that correct?
He's suing me to make me try to sell my home. I've lived here since 2012.
I understand that. But so did Mr. Colby, has he not?
No, he has not. He's never lived here.
Really?
He's lived at his dad's because we impeached him in Miss Krieger's courtroom.
Your Honor, objection. I don't think Ms. Taylor should be getting into the specifics of pending litigation.
Yeah, I think we're getting off course here on the issue of the house. I'm really more interested in these alleged contacts at the workplace, which seem to be the focal point of the alleged violation here. Mr. Kasork, so I'll ask you to redirect with your next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Very good. All right, any redirect, Ms. McNabb?
Just briefly, Ms. Taylor, how often would you say you've seen Mr. Colby's car at your workplace? Excuse me. Well, across the street from your workplace.
Several times, probably a couple times a week.
And when you say a couple times a week, how long was that going on for?
Before the PPO even got put in place, he's been stalking me.
Okay, but specifically, like, has he been doing this since October? Of last year? Has this been, August of 2024?
Probably September of 2023.
Okay, so you are saying that he sits in his car across from your workplace a few times a week and has for the past 2 years?
Like if I drive something different, he puts on Facebook, oh, she must have a new car. This is what she's driving now.
Okay.
Just don't stop. Something needs to be done before I am killed. I am terrified of him.
Okay. And so a couple more questions. When you see him sitting across, when you see his car and him sitting across from your workplace, how long does it sit there?
Oh, it's there for quite a bit, probably 45 minutes to an hour. And then he drives past my friend's house too, constantly stalking,
And how do you know it's there for 45 minutes to an hour?
because we can see out the window.
Okay.
And my boss smokes cigarettes. I do not. She goes out and there he is sitting in his car.
Okay, but you can see him out the window
Yes.
of the restaurant. Okay. How sure are you that the person sitting in that front seat is Mr. Colby?
I'm 110% sure it's him.
Okay, and is there anybody else in that vehicle that you
No.
could see? All right. Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Mr. Kazort?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just one question, Ms. Taylor. Have you ever called the law enforcement on him when he's sitting parked for at least 45 minutes across your employer?
Yes, and they don't do anything about it. He continues to get away with stuff.
It's just a yes or a no answer. Yes or no?
No, I haven't called the cops.
Thank you.
All right. Any follow-up, Ms. McNabb?
Just very briefly, Your Honor, Ms. Taylor, have you ever called the cops on any of these violations?
Yes.
Okay, and when was that?
I can't remember.
A year ago, 2 years ago, within the last 6 months?
It's been in the last probably 6 months to a year.
Okay, and what happened when you did that?
They don't do anything.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I have no further
I
question.
even tell them I have an active PPO.
Okay.
Mr. Kazort?
No questions.
Very good. Then thank you. You may step down, Ms. Taylor. Any additional witnesses, Ms. McNabb?
No, Your Honor.
Any witnesses or evidence to present, Mr. Kazort?
No, Your Honor.
Then I believe we're to the time for a closing statement. Ms. McNabb?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Taylor is a credible witness as far as Mr. Colby sitting across from her workplace within her sight, visible. She's known Mr. Colby for quite some time, so I believe her identification is also likewise credible, as well as her ability to say it was for 45 minutes to an hour each time. So at the very least, I believe we've proven beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Colby has been appearing within her sight, as well as some additional testimony that he's been interfering with Ms. Taylor at her place of work, and I would ask that you find him guilty.
Mr. Kazort?
Your Honor, I don't believe the evidence has proven that my client is guilty of the PPO violation. The history of this of these two people is a very deep history. There are several other court actions involved. The testimony, in my opinion, of Ms. Taylor is biased. It is slanted towards punishing my client for simply obeying the order and staying away and having no direct contact with her at all. So I would suggest that this court find him not guilty. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kazort. Well, I have heard the testimony today, and I have, of course, been involved with this case for quite some time. There is a lot of contention in this relationship, as the existence of the other legal actions in different counties points out to. However, the court's order does say very clearly no contact, as I stated earlier, at the workplace, residence, or appearing within the site. And it appears to me that there's uncontroverted testimony today. I heard from Ms. Taylor that she's seen Mr. Colby sitting and loitering in some lot across the street from her workplace. So I didn't hear from Mr. Colby that he's got a work that obliges him to be there, or a commercial reason or a business reason to show up there. And I think that based on my experience with this case and these two parties, that Mr. Colby is simply sitting there to he thinks he's on a stakeout duty. And the notice to Mr. Colby is, I don't care if your parents or whoever was in law enforcement, you don't get the right to stake out Miss Taylor or her place of business. So if you appear there again, you'll be in violation of the protective order. I'm going to find a violation this time. I'm going to fine you $200. You're going to show up at the Kent County Sheriff's Department to get fingerprinted. Take a good look around while you're there, because you'll get a look at what it would look like if you got processed into the jail on a violation. That's what I'll do with the next violation, is I'll give you some jail time. And the fingerprint should serve as a warning of that's coming. You are not to have any contact, direct or indirect, through your friends on the internet. There's so much crud floating around out there that it appears to me that you realize this order's in place, but you're trying to find the fringes, or how far can I go before the judge gets mad at me. Now you found out, not very far. So stay away, obey the order down to the letter of the law. Don't respond to anything online, electronically, or driving with regard to Miss Taylor. You just need to end this thing in terms of contact with her. That's all there is to it. Keep it to the courts and the filings that are going on in other cases. That's the way these things should be handled, not some kind of amateur hour stakeout here. Not okay. That'll be the court's ruling. I'll also extend this protective order for an additional year. That is, it was going to expire in April of this year. It's going to now expire April 2026. Mr. Colby, I expect nothing short of total obedience to it. And if you're not, then I'll take it that you don't think I'm serious. Not that it's anything against Miss Taylor. I'll say now all of a sudden Mr. Colby's testing the judge, and I can tell you I can make it real serious, and you can be sitting 90 days down in the Kent County Jail. I guarantee it's not where you want to be sitting. With that, the matter's concluded. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.